Hello and welcome to another episode of In Retrospect. This is just a random ranked 4-player FFA game that I played. We will be using the UI Plus mod to help with seeing debt and patents and optimizations and such. We have Expansive, Robotic, Nomad, and Elite available this game. The iron situation on this map isn't great. There's I would have said a good spot over here by this iron. Got a little bit of water, not much. Here's some iron and water here. This spot also over here next to all of this iron and uranium is also pretty good. You're somewhat distant to some water though, however. There's, I'd say, a pretty good nomad spot. The unfortunate thing with nomad is that there are no double adjacent silicon tiles. You can't get any silicon adjacency bonus, unfortunately. They're all spread out throughout the map, and there are also no core samples, so you can't dig up more. And there are also nukes, so it does make it kind of tough, as you'll see. This is a game of underground nuking company. It gets kind of intense for a little bit. So yeah, the spots aren't great on this map, they're decent. So let's go through this reverse auction. So we end up having 2 robots and 2 nomads found on this map. It is an electronics colony, so that does kind of hurt the fact that there are 2, or that everyone will be using electronics, but if you can get past the initial HQ1, HQ2 slump, you can do, or then you should be able to do pretty well, which I think everyone is able to get around. In terms of players, it's Morgan, myself, Bobrooni, and ncgamewizard, so 4 fairly good players. Morgan and Bobrooni are, I would say, higher tier. ncgamewizard, myself, Bob, and Morgan are all starred players. ncgamewizard isn't, but I think that's just because he hasn't played enough games this season, because I would definitely consider him a starred player. I don't think it shows rank when looking at a replay, but we're all good players, so this is a tough match. But you don't know that when you're playing the match until afterwards. So ncgamewizard found a robot up here. Goes for iron, goes for steel. I guess I don't know exactly what he would have planned, but I would have thought building your steel mill next to your iron going this way or something would have been better. I'm going to adjust the volume because that's loud. Okay, there we go. So I found my first HQ here, next to this aluminum and this one high silicon. Got some water here as well. Bobrooni found his first nomad up over here, which I find is kind of interesting. I feel like that would definitely have been a robot spot, or an expansive spot or something. I don't know if he accidentally found it there, but it looks like he found over here, which is another pretty good spot. He gets a high silicon here. I don't really know where to found my second HQ. I think I had thought about founding up here myself, but I don't remember exactly.
Robotics HQ has been founded.
Morgan ends up taking this spot over here. I think he probably would have preferred having this spot over here. You've got 3 tiles water instead of 2. You've got some slightly better iron with a bit of uranium. You're a bit farther from this carbon, but
a nomadic HQ has been founded.
I do eventually found. I grabbed this silicon here, this silicon, and this aluminum eventually. I sell everything, and
Robotics HQ has been
I buy up my electronics before they get expensive, because
Is online.
everyone's using electronics. So now I just need to wait till I get my aluminum and silicon in before I can upgrade.
a robotics HQ has
We're
been
just gonna go through this really quickly. Morgan gets to HQ2. He's doing what I thought NC should do, and it looks like he did do it on HQ2, so looks like he had to scrap out of one of his steel mills that he had built. I guess didn't check if he had finished it, but considering these are currently building, I would imagine he did. This this gives you slightly better adjacency bonus, so. And then when you build this metal mine, you will have adjacency bonus as well.
A nomadic HQ has been upgraded.
Bob gets to HQ3, he loses out on this tile, which I imagine he would have liked to have had, because, well, I guess maybe not. Later in the game, both uranium and iron become quite high in terms of price, but don't quite know that now, and so neither of those resources would be useful for Bob, so. He's got some silicon. He's doing a lot of shipping as a nomad, which is something I think that nomads shouldn't have to do, and actually should avoid trying to do. From what I've heard, nomads are doing quite well on overall, just in ranked, and I'm wondering if a slight way to give them a negative is maybe increasing their shipping costs or something, because they shouldn't it shouldn't be too big of a hurt to them, because they shouldn't be doing much shipping to begin with, I think. Because if you're doing all of this shipping, why not, well, in order for Bob, why not, in order to reduce the shipping, why not just found on the other side of this aluminum? Because where you're founding doesn't give you great water access. It just puts you somewhat central to all of this ice and all of the resources you are currently mining. But if you're going to use ice, you'd want to found next to the larger patch, so that way you don't have to have a connector building here to connect to these 5 tiles. You could also have found it up here. Probably wouldn't want to crush this water, so that way you could have 4 adjacent water just found over here, and then you have to ship less far for this silicon. Or you could found over here, or you could found on top of the aluminum and crush the aluminum, and that way you'd have to ship it less. It just seems, seeing this shipping for a nomad seems very odd to me. So I get to HQ2, I build another aluminum mine, and I go for 2 nuclear reactors here on HQ2. Power is going up, no one else is building power. We have 2 robots who are using, well, I guess ncgamewizard's the only one that's shipping. No, Morgan's just doing a little bit of shipping. So we got 0.5 power consumed there, and 0.4, I think. Yeah, 0.4 over here, so a fair bit of power being consumed by our robots. So I go for a double nuke, and I don't have much debt, so I can pay through that debt quickly.
New claim is available for auction.
Here you see me just selling down everything constantly, because I really want to get a goon. I don't want my nuclear reactor CMP'd, so really want to defend these nukes, and I get my goon, and so I'm safer now, and now I'm already making good power money, and these nukes have probably already paid for themselves, because that was 40 electronics I just bought, and they only cost about 2k each. Let's just round way up. So I bought 40 electronics, and I'm only buying 30, the nukes have paid for themselves, so I decided to go for a third one, try to crash the power market before everyone else can get into it. Morgan has 1 nuke, NC doesn't have a nuke, and I don't think Bobrooni, yeah, Bobrooni doesn't have anything. I get underground nuked, which is annoying. Silicon is my primary upgrade resource. I buy up my 60 electronics. I also bought another goon for my nukes. So, power market will start to crash very quickly here, but I get to HQ4 before it does. I've gone for a couple farms here. I'm making okay money. They're making the best money aside from shipping in some silicon. There's this medium over there, and I think that's the only other unclaimed. I guess there was this medium here for a while. So here I guess I would call this a mistake because I never use this tile. I claim this tile thinking, okay, I'll go for an early optimization center or something. I don't end up building an optimization center there at all. I just end up picking the tile back up. I don't have to use a return claim on it, but I could have, instead of sitting that tile out there, I could have gone for some farms, or I could have gone for some water pumps, both of which would have been better. I do eventually remember that tile and pick it up, but it, for a while, is just sitting there doing nothing. I am also not doing much with the 2 claims I already have, so I scrap out of one of my nukes, my nuclear reactors, sorry, and build a couple of solar condensers. Water I'm consuming and it's starting to creep up there. This tile, don't particularly care about it. I'll bid someone on it because I can at least return it. So yeah, I go for a patent lab, I go for a couple solar condensers. Where's the other claim go? Oh yeah, there is a high silicon that I do go for over here. Because silicon's starting to get expensive, I'll still need a bunch. If I want to go for Offworlds, I'll still need a bunch more for those. I don't go for Offworlds this game, so that doesn't matter. See that ncgamewizard is boosting himself. I punish that.
The black market is open for business.
There. EMP those. I go for liquid batteries. I figure I have no access. Wow. I have no access to non-ice water. So my only source of water is going to be from solar condensers. I do have a small bit of ice here and there, so I can use the ice, at least. And then also these nuclear reactors, nuclear plants, will be better suited as solar panels, possibly. So, Morgan nukes Bobrooni's silicon to a trace, picks it up, yeah, my silicon quarry got mutinied, which was quite annoying. I nuke Bobrooni's silicon. My silicon gets nuked right back by someone else, I guess. Bobrooni nukes Morgan's, I guess, God tile. I don't know if that's the exact name for these, but uranium iron tile, which was making some decent money. At this point, by now, I probably should have scrapped these and maybe picked these up. Here I think you'll see me rotate these into solar panels, but these tiles could have been doing so much more throughout this game. You'll see this game ends up being fairly close, and that's probably... These 2 tiles essentially are just doing nothing for most of this game. And they could be doing something more. I mean, I could pick them up and move them to solar condensers over here, or something more efficient. I scrapped this silicon as a trace, isn't going to be worth very much, and go for triple farms. Here I get up to HQ5. I see Bobrooni. I think Bobrooni had the most cash, so I feel safe upgrading. Pleasure Dome for auction. I don't particularly... I mean, I'll bid some on it. I'm probably not aggressive enough with auctions, but I don't really know. I feel like my debt, either I have no debt problems where my debt just goes completely out of control. I don't exactly know how to kind of ride the fine line of debt, like Bobrooni does, I think, this entire game. I don't know if he pays off debt. I could maybe... Don't know if I can exactly check that and post charts and graphs, but I think he stays in C debt throughout this entire game. So I grabbed liquid batteries and figured go for nanotech. It'll save me on silicon, I guess. I think I didn't know exactly what I wanted to go for. Transparent aluminum is useless right now. Glass is only 60 and isn't going to go up very much. If anything, it's going to go down. So glass isn't an expensive item, and the only thing I think that I could build, well, I guess farms take a bit of glass, but also Offworld, but Offworld's cost 144k, 100k of which that is silicon, so go for nanotech. My stuff gets EMP'd. I probably should have gooned this at some point, maybe this farm or something, because EMPs come down quite a bit on this area. So I do have my nukes back on. I'm going for some electrolysis reactors over here for my HQ5 claims. Grab nanotech, and I think I grab financial instruments after this. So Bobrooni nukes, Morgan nukes Bobrooni's elemental quarries here. Honestly, well, EMPs were cheaper. Buy a nuke and nuke the low tile here. You don't... I guess... Let's see. Yeah, he froze the tile, this tile anyway, so it's not like he was trying to avoid a goon squad or anything. But, I think this is a bit of overcommitment from Bobrooni. Yes, this gives you better adjacency bonus, but underground nukes are still only 20k. And you hit this tile, all three of these tiles you suddenly have to pick up, and he only has 4 return claims. You don't have to pick up all 4, but I think you don't want 4 or 3 tiles trace mining 1 silicon. I think it would have been better take one of these, put them over here by this medium of ncgamewizards, and then maybe 2 by this medium, or 2 by this low. I think he already had this tile claimed from earlier. These are caves he's mining out of. This is slant drilling, so he had this before slant drilling. He got the slant drilling patent, which he does have now, so that's why I'm suggesting that he uses ncgamewizards or this tile. By using ncgamewizard's tile, it makes him not immune, but resistant to nukes, because ncgamewizard doesn't want to nuke that tile. However, it does, if myself or Morgan would notice it, make it more tempting to underground nuke the tile, because you'll hurt 2 players instead of just 1. So, my farms are coming back online. They're still making me good money. Water's starting to go up there. So yeah, I nuke it, and then he immediately puts a goon on it, just a couple seconds too late, which sucks for him. I start buying out my shares. I didn't think I could get aggressive. I maybe could have on ncgamewizard, but yeah, here I get financial instruments. Let's see, how much did that patent cost me? That cost me 10k. We'll see if that pays for itself. I'm pretty sure it does. And here, ncgamewizard buys into Bobrooni, which I find kind of weird, but Morgan helps. And hindsight, I maybe should have helped him, but he has enough to defend himself, which is why I didn't think about buying into him. But They do buy 5 of the stock fairly quickly, but Bobrooni does defend himself.
Trying to break our stuff.
Defend against EMP here.
Let the
Our robotics
begin.
HQ has been upgraded.
Perpetual motion would have been a nice patent, but it's not one I want to spend too much on. I scrap out of my patent lab. Nothing. I don't feel like Thinking Machines is going to be worth very much because I don't feel like it's an off-world market game. The off-worlds are 20k at most, maybe 17k, 17k launches, and it costs 122k, so that's 7 launches or so. Then it has before it pays for itself, and so Thinking Machines isn't going to be worth much. So I still have these nuclear reactors. These would have been definitely better as solar panels by this point because I've got liquid batteries. I thought I'd rotated them even sooner than this. Just even more reason I should have scrapped out of these tiles and picked them up, but unfortunately a nomad can't pick up a gooned tile unless they pop their own goon, so... But I could have done so with an EMP or something. So here, I rotate these farms into some solar condensers, and I go for another solar condenser here. I think I pick up... No, I don't pick up the silicon tile, though I probably should have by this point. Yeah, I go for some solar condensers because water is expensive, and I go for an optimization center. I move my farms over here because they're still making, well, they're making okay money. They're not making great money. Chemical refineries probably would have been better. Go for a pair of chemical refineries. Actually, probably should have gone for 3 chemical refineries and then scrap this for like an optimization center or something. I got this iron tile because iron is expensive because almost no one's producing any iron. Oregon has 2 lows. And a trace, and then ncgamewizard has none. No iron coming in. So, yeah, aluminum surplus, so I replace one of my aluminum mines with an optimization center here shortly, I believe. Here in EMP Morgan, I think he's probably the biggest threat. Bobrooni does have the biggest cash lead, but he is also in higher debt, and his stocks are bought by other people, so... Mutinying a optimization center back. 2k off my financial instruments that time. We'll check at the end if financial instruments paid for itself or not. I go for 2 optimization centers. One of which gets mutinied. Interesting that you wouldn't wait to mutiny it until it's finished, but...
Optimization center is ready. Time to start improving everything.
Another 2k off of financial instruments, and Bobrooni does pay his debt up to C. I do reclaim this aluminum tile because aluminum is not worth much. High iron tile. Be nice to make a bit of money off of before returning it, but I don't think it's worth 24k. And maybe it was. Yeah, he just gets it, reclaims it. And there's another nuke. We're not quite done with those. I go into 3 farms here, and yeah, I do get these solar panels, but I do eventually pay through all of my debt with these solar panels. It is slow, but these tiles, again, hindsight, they look like they're profitable, but I'm only making 85 off of them, actually. And that's not, I have to pay through 31k first before they actually start making money at all. So these 2 tiles combined are about as valuable as this low silicon tile. So it would be better suited to replace one of these with a farm, and then another one of these with an electrolysis reactor, or I think I go into chems over here. Yeah, go for a 3rd chemical refinery over here.
A nomadic HQ has been upgraded.
And I should also pick this tile up. It is still making me a tiny bit amount of money, but fuel is, well, fuel's evened out, I guess, at this point.
Methods continue to improve.
I nuke Morgan's other carbon here, so he's got 2 trace carbons. Hurts to be a robot that has kind of useless tiles. Again, I'm targeting Morgan because it looks like he's the one in the lead. Even though ncgamewizard does have the stock advantage in terms of having 4 stocks into Bobrooni.
Optimization routine successful.
My optimization centers early on were, and I think for a little bit here, are inactive for a decent amount of time, so I should have been more attentive to my off-worlds, making sure they're actually working.
The black market is open for business. The engineers have advanced our production.
I EMP Morgan's
Our methods continue to
adrenaline boost here. Punish him for doing it and not having it gooned. I guess I didn't know if he had a goon there. I think I recently EMP'd there, so I figured he didn't have a goon. Bobrooni boosting his optimization center. Chemical refinery. That'd be a pretty good mutiny target. Chemical refineries still making me money. These solar panels have finally paid through my debt. I'm making 58 right now per solar for both these solar panels. So even more reason that replace this one with a farm, break the goon on this one, put it as a electrolysis reactor that replaces these 2, well, I guess I optimized power, so they're worth 67 a piece. So I've got 2 $67 income tiles here that could instead be a, well, it'd be a bit greater than a 262 tile because the adjacency would go up, and then a $300 tile. So
the black market is online.
the reason I'm pointing stuff out like this is the fact that this game comes down to a couple percent in terms of losing versus surviving, not necessarily winning. Because at this point I thought, okay, I'm doing pretty well. Bobrooni right now is my competitor. I need to buy him out. I'm at 71%, he's only at 50%. I feel pretty good, you know. I buy some magnetic storms, they're cheap. A magnetic storm, some Bobrooni stuff. It's not much, but it's something. And here, he picked up 2 of these tiles, he didn't pick up all 3. I'm gonna guess he's out of return of claims. And this one was gooned, so he couldn't pick it up. But it kind of goes back to, I would have preferred just put 1 here and then put 2 over here, so that way you defend yourself against what were cheaper nukes, because when he had those 3 tiles, nukes were only 20k. Underground nukes. I call 2 different things nukes. So Bobrooni starts buying into me, so my percent, because his stock price goes up, my percent goes down.
The black market is open
So
for
he's at
business.
40%, I'm at 72%, so I'm 32% ahead of him. But unfortunately, he makes money more quickly than I do. My optimization center should be running, it's not. I've got plenty of money. And here, I don't know what I'm thinking here with this hacker array. Well, I do. I'm the only one who has any iron currently. So I figured, okay, I can play around with this iron price, but I'm still selling down iron because I want to get the buy on Bobrooni, and this tile just makes me no money. It actually costs me money because these solar panels are now slightly less effective. Go for the iron shortage.
Our methods continue to improve.
Yeah. Yep, Bobrooni's now caught up to me. So yeah, this game is off by a few percent, I think. These solar panels, they should have been solar panels sooner instead of nukes, because nukes, well, they do make money they cost me money to buy the uranium and the water. So I have to pay for the uranium to power them, which costs me cash before it'll start paying off my debt, whereas my solar panels with liquid batteries would have been more effective. So, unfortunately, this game is over for me. I don't have... so what? I need 592k, so I'm 330k off. I have nanotech. So this hacker array would have been 13k, and my optimization centers would have been 20k a piece. If I scrap those and sell them, which I could have done sooner because these optimization centers haven't been doing anything for a while, I could have gotten the buy on Bobrooni. I don't know if I win from there, because if I have Bobrooni, I'll start making good sub income, but it depends on what Morgan and ncgamewizard do, because currently they're locked in against each other. But Bobrooni gets the buy on me. I don't actually know who wins this game, because I left shortly. I think I actually leave right away. I think I was frustrated that I didn't get the buy because of my own mistakes. Yeah, it was a close game for me, and one I should have played better, I feel like. But if I buy out Bobrooni, I only have half of his stocks. I don't have all 10 because ncgamewizard and Morgan have stocks into Bobrooni instead. So ncgamewizard does start making money off Bob. So I don't know. If looking at it now, Morgan is closer to the buy on ncgamewizard, so it would depend on how much money I can make before Morgan buys out ncgamewizard, if that's what they go for. If instead they sell out of each other and buy into me, I don't know what happens there. So, I thought I was a favorite to win that game in the position I was at, but unfortunately, these solar panels I think hurt me quite a bit, and this hacker array was also a mistake. And then I could have nanoteched my optimization centers to have the buy, but it's something I can understand not remembering in the heat of the moment, because, well, that's not something I often have, is nanotech, but it's definitely something I need to look more at. But I think if these solar panels are something different, I think I would be fine. So, thank you for watching. Well, actually, before we do that, sorry. I made 26k off of that 10k patent, so I made 16k net profit off of financial instruments. Was it worth it? I don't actually know. The reason I ask was it worth it is, what, it takes 40 seconds? Yes, 40 seconds. If that was a solar condenser, instead of a patent lab, at the time, would it have made more money? Possibly. I don't know for certain. It wasn't... There are some games where I just randomly grab financial instruments like that, and it makes me 30, 40k more than it did this game, so... There are some games it definitely looks like it's worth more than others. And if I had bought out Bobrooni, it would have essentially been worthless because Morgan is at AA and ncgamewizard has no debt, so it was essentially just a 16k profit, even if I had survived in this game. This tile over here, also I should have picked up sooner. I still have 6 return to claims. Usually I'm better with return to claims as a nomad. Usually I only have like 2 or so at this point. But this tile could have been picked up. Could have again been an electrolysis reactor or a greenhouse farm. Or a chemical refinery, or heck, even a metal mine. Aluminum's back up to 210. If I wanted to, I could have earlier scrapped out of this optimization center and built a metal mine here and just made some cash. Because while the investments are good in optimizations, Morgan has a few, does have more optimizations than I thought he did. But Bobrooni is the one with the most optimizations. So, anyway, thank you for watching this episode of In Retrospect.